Situational awareness is one of the most crucial skills for every person out there, but even more so for spies who are tasked to perform activities that are typically illegal in the countries they operate in. Let's have a look at the 525 check from one of the most experienced United States special operators out there. Welcome to Tradecraft Sunday. This is Pat McNamara, a retired US Army Delta Force operator who has extensive experience also conducting covert and clandestine operations, especially during the Cold War era when he was stationed undercover in Eastern Europe. Pat McNamara has established several training methodologies and TTPs. One highly relevant to our content is the 5s and 25s, which is ideal for urban environments. And actually, it's not his invention, it's a common military procedure that he regularly communicates, which, unfortunately, it's not so widely known or adopted by the general population. Here's how he described this subject in his 2012 book, Sentinel: Become the Agent in Charge of Your Own Protection Detail. Before you climb out of your vehicle, take a look around and look in depth, noting shadows and corners. It only takes a second to scan your primary and secondary sectors. Your primary is directly outside of your vehicle, and your secondary runs 2 or 3 cars deep in all directions. Just spend a couple of seconds on this. Make it your new normal. You will be surprised what you see. If something makes you uncomfortable or doesn't fit, leave or move so you can live to fight another day. The best way to get out of a sticky situation is by not getting into it in the first place. Once out of the vehicle, plan your walking route to your destination and check to ensure you have your car keys. I have mine on a small snap link and have made it a habit to secure my keys to a belt loop. I check the keys prior to shutting the car door. This is a habit of mine. An ounce of prevention. Conduct the same scan prior to walking to your car in the parking lot from the relative safety of the mall or shopping center. Make this a new normal. Turn it into a routine. If you do it enough, you will do it intuitively. This task will rest in your subconscious mind, and you will access the task whenever you need it. This is an excellent example of one of the many skills that spies master over time. Observation skills for situational awareness. It also touches on another crucial subject, intuition. Many people tend to ignore their intuition, but spies know that intuition means that some of your senses picked up something, even if you don't fully understand it at this stage. If you'd like to understand this in more depth, we highly recommend you studying the 1997 book, The Gift of Fear: Survival Signals that Protect Us from Violence. Back to our episode's topic. In 2017, Pat McNamara published an article on the Off-Grid magazine where, among others, he wrote, "Scan and plan. Many of us have relinquished our primal survival instincts, becoming fat, flaccid, gelatinous, button pushers stuck in a 45-degree syndrome world. And by that, I mean head-oriented 45 degrees at our smartphones. Too often, I find myself on a people mover at an airport or a shuttle bus heading to the rental car counter, and I'm literally the only one looking around. Everyone else is completely oblivious to his or her surroundings. So, too often, I say to myself, well, looks like I'm in charge of security. For those of us with a witch about us, try to see things in full spectrum. Perform a focal shift in your everyday life. Look around. Slow down before you enter a building or a venue and observe the people in your proximity. Examine what's close to you and then continue your scan further. Perform a 5 and 25. Scan 5 meters around you and then out to 25 meters. It's okay, you were born to do this, it only takes a second. A successful assault happens with surprise, speed, and violence of action. We can mitigate the surprise by tuning in and being situationally aware. Look for any demeanor that's out of whack. If you take the element of surprise away from a would-be attacker, perhaps he may fear reprisal and forgo the attack. Whether I'm armed or unarmed and enter a venue, I do the same thing. I consider it a possible crisis site. First, I get a pretty good lay of the land. Exits, avenues of approach, choke points, intersections, safe areas, alternate routes, and lines of drift are all stored in the data bank. I give people a once-over and look for potential assets and liabilities. I visualize chaos. I picture complete bedlam with everyone running for the same exit. Often people don't plan to fail, but they fail to plan. So this process of visualization becomes a crucial step in disaster preparation. We must mentally prepare ourselves to exit without hesitation. If exiting is the safest recourse, even if it means throwing a table or a chair through a window, which may be your best option. When pandemonium strikes, there is no time for analysis. Through analysis comes paralysis, hence the importance of preparation. Pay attention, look around, and always have a plan in mind. This provided further details into this procedure, which is commonly employed by people who have been trained to be situationally aware. That includes elite special operators like Pat McNamara, but also intelligence operatives who need to be extra vigilant of anything that could be out of place when operating in a semi-permissive or non-permissive environment. To close this episode, on August 27, 2019, Pat McNamara did a podcast for the Order of Men dedicated to situational awareness. As always, links for everything mentioned herein are in the description. Here's what he said about the 5s and 25s, which is this Sunday's tradecraft tip.
One of the things you said is do your 5s and 25s. Do you mind explaining what that is?
So I tell people, I use Walmart parking lot as an example, what I call the epicenter for disaster planning.
Sure.
And so I apologize about the cough. I'm just getting over a virus.
Yeah, no worries. No worries. You got to recover.
Yeah, man. So, when you back into your spot, just take a quick peek around. So, GIs know what 5 and 25 is. It's just a quick scan. You're scanning 5 yards and then 25 yards. And in a parking lot like that, before you get out of your car, you make that scan, which includes your mirrors, your rear and side view mirrors, at 5 and then 25. And just kind of glance into other people's windshields. You'd be surprised at how many times you see somebody looking back at you. And 99% of the time it's benign.
Sure.
It's no lady with her husband to pick up her prescription meds. But in the event you lock eyes with, would-be scumbag, you have relinquished him of his ability to attack because you've taken the element of surprise from him. Because a scumbag or a predator, human, is like a predator in the wild. They need to take easy prey.
Right.
And no matter how weak, frail you are, or petite, if you lock eyes with a would-be predator, you've taken an element of surprise from that person.
Mm-hmm.
You've taken it from them. They no longer have that. Plus, it's just really good peace of mind. For me, it's habitual. It's just a way of life. I do it everywhere I go. And, yes, 99% of the time, it is absolutely benign. But that 1% or that 0.01%, whatever it is, like I said, we don't fail to plan, but we don't plan to fail, but we fail to plan.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you talk about it being habitual, and the point that I would make sure guys understand is that this isn't going to take you a bunch of extra time, right? Doing 5s and 25s isn't going to take you, it's not going to take you 10 minutes. It's going to take you 10 seconds to scan and make sure your surroundings are secure.
Yep. If that, it could be 5 seconds.
Right.
And before I open the door for my wife or, whenever I have my kiddies, I'm going to do that scan real quick. And I used to tell them when they were little too, before we get out of the car, I would say, heads on a swivel.
Yes.
And it's good seeing them just look around, instead of following me like they're a bunch of sheep in the herd, having them look around. Or I would tell them, especially when they were little, they're teenagers now, so they don't